6 months ago, I made the mistake of dating a guy that had one of my big no's, but I didn't know that he had one of my big no's, truthfully, and I allowed it. Okay, maybe I did know, but I never actually knew what my big no's were, okay? For example, I'm gonna tell y'all the 3 big no's right now. 1, a man with too many baby mamas. For one, maybe I could deal with a man with 1 baby mama, and depends how many kids he has. It just depends. I prefer a man that has 0 baby mamas. I'd like to start a family with a man that has no kids. But the reality too is that I'm already 28. And I don't want to have kids till I'm 35. So you see, the math ain't mathing either. So I can't be too unrealistic to the point where I'm like, I don't want a man with no kids at all. I'm not saying that there isn't men out there, but I think I can allow a man with 1 baby mama. I can allow that. But 2 or 3, like, no. And that's what happened to me with the situationship that I had in the summer. He had 2 baby mamas. And I already knew that was a no. And that was an issue. And I even talked to my best friend about this. And I still went for it. But it was because at the time, I didn't know. It's like I knew my big no's, but they weren't in my head. Does that make sense? It's like looking at a paper and you know what it said, but you didn't actually grasp it and kept it in your head. That's what I did. So I went for it just because I really, really liked him. And I already learned after that situationship, that's the only reason why I'm grateful for that situationship. Because I think now it actually prepared me for the dating world where I don't want to allow whatever person. I don't. And I played it in hand already. Because even though I went through with this situationship, I did start talking to another guy that I met. Bro, he had 3... Watch my video. I'm sorry if you're watching my video and I'm not trying to offend you. He's been married. Oh yeah, that's another one of my big no's. I don't want a man. I'm sorry, I'll go back to the story. I don't want a man that has been married either. He cannot have never been married. Unless, obviously, if he's a widow or something justifiable, like... one of my friends, they forced him to marry his girlfriend when he was like 18. Okay, fine. That's understandable, you know? But other than that, no. I don't want a man that just marries and marries and marries. Oops, I'm gonna speak too much. One of my brothers marries just to marry. And I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So that's 2 of my big no's. So the baby mama, no more than 1 baby mama, and never married. So this guy had 3 baby mamas and had been married once, if not twice. So I was like, no, thank you. And then that's when I had told him, oh, let's just be friends. And it was cool, but I'm not gonna lie, then I was falling for him a little bit. So then I had to, like, you know that thing, frenar. I had to stop. I had to press on the brake pedal and be like, wait, hold up, what's happening here? Luckily, he was from out of town, so I was never gonna see him anyways. Damn, that's kind of fucked up. I really hope he doesn't see this. But yeah, so ya me di vueltas, way. What the fuck? My brain. Back to my big nose. Another one of my big nose is I don't like a man that doesn't have word. Or I think I have a lot of big no's actually. I'm just adding them as we're talking. That doesn't have word or is a liar. For example, in my situationship, I could tell when he was lying, and it bugged me. And he didn't have word. One time he was saying something about he was gonna send me some roses or whatever, and he never did it. Then another time he said he was gonna come, like, to pick me up, or basically he would tell me, like, basically he told me once, okay, we're gonna go to lunch Monday, when I was at the shop. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm over there waiting como una pendeja, and then he didn't. And then he would be like the next day, and then he didn't. And then he finally came on Wednesday, and I wasn't at the shop, because sometimes I wouldn't go on Wednesdays or Thursdays. I'm like, bitch, you didn't tell me you were coming on Wednesday. Like, I'm not there no more, huh? Well, I didn't tell him that. I was just like, I'm not at the shop. And obviously I could have been like, hey, you could pick me up at my house, but I don't want to be begging either. You could just tell me that. Anyways, so you see, like, that's a man sin palabra. Porque if you told me Monday, it should have been Monday. I shouldn't have to be playing this stupid guessing game. I don't know. It just doesn't work. But things like that he did. And at the time, that I truthfully did not know that was a big no for me. But come on. Like, seriously. That's a big no. Imagine once you're married with someone like that, they're never going to keep their word. And they're just going to say this and that, this and that, this and that. I want actions, honey. Not no motherfucking words. Damn, pinche culera. But that's what we were... When I was in Colorado, that's what we were talking about. Because I feel like, especially when you're younger... I just did it 6 months ago. But especially when you're younger, I mean, eventually you learn, you know? But especially when you're younger, in your 20s, like me, looking back in my 20s the way I thought, it was worse. It was worse. That time, I really don't even know what I liked about this guy that I literally cried for 2 to 3 years, and it was never nothing. I still till this day don't understand that thing. And I'd like to think it was like in my imagination and me putting too much of me in it, rather than what it really was. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. But it's because when you start dating someone, most of the time you start idealizing certain things, and I feel like that's the worst mistake. And then that's when your nose go out the window, and they shouldn't go out the window. And if you don't have nose, you need to have a nose. Like, you need to have them engraved in your head like I do now. Now that after that shit happened in the summer, now they're engraved in my head. Now when I see it and think it, I'm like, no. I don't even want to think of the thought of just liking someone. I want that out of my head. And it's like I knew, but I never applied it. Because they weren't in my head. Even though I knew I didn't want that, it wasn't set in my head to be like, those are my big no's. And that's the thing, like, we need to have our nose, our N-O, S, okay? Our big nose set in our head. Go write it down if you need to, but for me, they're engraved, and I need to have them there because there are so many people out here. There's so many men, there's so many women, there's so many that you don't have to settle for the things that you don't want in your life. You shouldn't have to. You just bounce. Ya si se te hace tarde, güey, no sé, maybe you're too picky, güey. Be realistic too, okay? But, yeah. Where was I going with this? I don't know. Have nose in your life. And besides the nose, I like, the biggest thing for me is a man with ambition. And that's where I feel like I fell through in the summer. Because as soon as I see a man with ambition, like, boom, like, I'm already in the sky. Like, I love a man with ambition. And I feel like that clouded my nose. It was almost as if the ambition was enough to outweigh the nose. And that's not how it works. Because I would have probably been miserable. So now that I went through that, I know not to just go for whatever. And I know enough men that don't even have kids, and they're like 31, 32. Okay, I don't know men, but like, I've seen men that are around us that don't have kids, and they're 30, 31, 32, and things like that. So that there's men with no kids, with not too many baby mamas, with not bad morals, or just getting married, or doing the things that, those are my no's. I mean, everyone has different ones. For example, my sister had a really good one, which I kind of like, and I might add to mine. But she was like, one of her biggest no's before she was married is that she could not be with a man that did not like to dance. She could not. And that makes sense because she loves to dance. So imagine going to a party or whatever and her wanting to dance and her man doesn't know how to dance. She would be miserable. Truthfully, she would be miserable. And that kind of makes sense. And I'm kind of thinking of adding that one to mine because I want a man that wants to dance and sing jams with me. Oh, another one. Well, for me, I want a man that is very Mexican and into that very Mexican music that I like, which is a lot of like rancheras, cumbias, corridos, norteñas, like those type of Mexican songs. I need that in my life. But she's not wrong. That was, I've seen it time and time again in some couples where the woman likes to dance and the man doesn't, vice versa. And I'm not saying that it can't eventually work and then just they can start liking the things you like. But if that's your big thing, it's your big thing, and that's it. And I feel like we all have different no's. Just because my big no is no baby mamas doesn't mean that yours has to be. That's just a personal thing, because I mean, I don't have any kids and I've never been married and I'm almost gonna be 28. So I feel like I am allowed to choose that, and you're allowed to choose whatever no's you want. Because sometimes people think I'm a little bit dramatic, but I don't think so. And yeah, and I gotta stand 10 toes down and stop liking people just to like people. That's the biggest thing. Don't like men just to like them. Let them show you who they are. And that's what I did with this situationship. That is truly what I did. I let him be. I let him be completely. I don't know if he liked it or not, but I let him be. I wasn't over there begging, see me, see me, see me. If he didn't want to see me, pues we didn't see. Pues I didn't see him. I don't have to be begging for a man. That's another thing. I'm not into that princeso shit where you have to text him first, even though I kind of did a few times. But I don't like that. I like a man to take charge and be like, hey, this and that, I'm gonna go see you, I miss you, and call it a day. But I felt like in this situationship, he wanted me be telling him that too. I'm just weird. Because then some of my friends were like, maybe you were being too cold. But I was like, I don't think so. I'm sorry. Pursue me right. I don't know. I know I could be pursued correctly how I like it, so I'm standing 10 toes down now.